You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's showtime. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time.
That song never gets old. Like, I don't know when you first recorded it, wrote it, released it, but I've heard it essentially 2 to 3 times a week for the best part of like 4 years now. Legit doesn't get old. It's a genuine bop. So,
appreciate that. I mean, it's always go time. That's why it doesn't get old, Kadeem. Because it's always gonna be go time, bro.
That's true. That's true. Few housekeeping things off the bat. We will be giving away this Tua Tagovailoa trading card this episode. So get involved in the comments. I will add your name to the giveaway Wheel of Fortune. But yeah, Tua Tagovailoa trading card. But that's only the only housekeeping we have so far outside of. Shout out to End of Fireplace YouTube, said let's go time Dolphins. Shout out to Rob saying good evening, and shout out to Keith, evening gent from the north of Scotland. Shout out to our UK listeners, given that it's like 10 past 11 at night and they are local and with us. Mid Charlie Touche, how are you?
I'm sure we're gonna talk about it. Y'all know I went to the preseason game against the Falcons, and although if the Dolphins win a preseason game, it doesn't really mean much to me. Like, we won, so what? We still got to fix some things. But it's crazy how losing still bothers me, bro. Even though it's the preseason,
it's awful, and I think we'll get into it. But the one thing that did go through my mind on that opening drive was the game where we met. And for those who don't know, me and Charlie met at the Dolphins Saints game in London. Jay Cutler's like quarterback, and he's driving downfield, end zone, interception, and the Dolphins lose 20-0 or 20-0. And when that happened, I was like, Charlie's at this game. Don't get skunked. Don't get skunked. Because if it happened, we'd have a serious conversation about Charlie. You can't go to no more games. Like, but again, we've got a guest in the background. I'm not going to introduce him, but I'm not going to get too deep into Charlie and Kadeem back and forth.
But that was Alvin Kamara's breakout game in 2017. And I'll say this before I introduce the guest on this side. When Mike White had that drive, I ain't gonna lie, like Mike White came and was like, yo, I think I'm Tua right now. I'm driving, I'm completing these passes. And unlike tight window Tua, I'm like, look at Mike White, threw the pick in the end zone, right? And I'm like, Mike White, window tight Mike. Ain't it, bro? It doesn't have the same ring to it. Like tight window Tua, window tight Mike. It's not the same thing, but it's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I'm your boy, Charlie Touche. I got my co-host, Kadeem Simmons, with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans. Your favorite podcast. And we do have a guest, like Kadeem mentioned. And this guest can't even be considered a guest, man. This man is family here on Go Time Dolphins. Let's bring him in. It's 5 Yard Lee from the DolFans UK podcast. 5 Yard Lee, bro. We appreciate you coming on once again. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, doing good. How are you guys doing?
We all right, man. We all right. What's it like over there in the UK right now?
Late.
Is it?
Just think, Charlie. It sucks to be at a game where the Dolphins lose. It sucks to be staying up to watch the Dolphins lose at 3:00 in the morning.
Did it feel any different that it was preseason?
I came out of it not so down as most people, but
yeah, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I was at the game, and this was my first preseason game ever. I lived literally 120 seconds walking across the street from the stadium growing up, and then I moved from that house to about a 8-minute ride down the street from the stadium, and you can hear the band from my house, like bands when they played or concerts. You can still hear the roar of the stadium when I moved. And all these years, I've never went to a preseason game, and I'm gonna have to start doing it a little bit more often. But when I went to this preseason game, I still didn't like some of the foolishness. I'm like, no, bro, like this has to be fixed. So I can't. I don't know how to do it, but I can't remove myself from the fact that it's preseason. And maybe maybe I should be some type of optimist football coach. You know what I'm saying? And just really put it to good use, man. Kadeem, how you doing, bro?
The finger is getting better. Lee has threatened to break my fingers a few times over WhatsApp over the past week or so. So he's fortunate to make it back on the podcast. Just putting it out there. But no, yeah, I'm doing good. I've got motion in the finger, and I probably could take it off right now, but I'm going to keep it on. But no, I think preseason's an odd one because I think that when you saw how basically that there was hardly any starters playing, you kind of go into it going, okay, you're not really expecting much outside of, as we said on the preview podcast, Charlie, who's going to be this year's Kader Kohu, this year's Preston Williams. And there were positives overall, such as how many times the Dolphins got to the red zone, but there's also negatives in terms of the Dolphins only came away with 3 points from 4 or 5 red zone trips. You can also take a positive that the defense didn't give up any points, but then special teams kind of sucked. So it's we'll delve deeper into who played well, who didn't play well, all that kind of stuff. The scares before the game, during the game, in terms of injuries and stuff like that. But listen, there's a reason why the three of us have our own, Dolphins shows. Obviously, Go Time Dolphins here, myself and Charlie. Lee is part of, the official Dolphins network. He does the DolFan UK podcast. There's a reason why we stay up until 3 a.m. watching preseason games. There's a reason why I'm sure we've all gone back and watched a preseason game multiple times, rewinding things, kind of seeing what went like.
I was in the middle of watching it. I'm in the fourth quarter right now. Like this is bad. Like, yeah, you're not an average fan, one, if you have your own podcast, and you're not an average fan if you watch preseason games more than once. Like, that's not good. Shout out to Keith. Go Time Fire y'all already. I like it. Listen, man, we're in preseason form too, Kadeem, because we didn't mention that the Dolphins lost the preseason game 19-3 to the Atlanta Falcons. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't preface all of our comments with that. But if you're just now tuning in, didn't know that the Dolphins lost 19-3 in the preseason, week 1 of preseason to the Atlanta Falcons, you do know now. What did you take away from the game, Fabio Ali?
I mean, I would rather find this stuff out now than 4 weeks' time. Some teams, we've seen it in the past, teams sail through the preseason and get to week 1, and then all of a sudden it hits them like, oh, this isn't good. This isn't working. But I think as hard as it is, the fan in me wants to be annoyed that they lost. As soon as you see the inactive, the not expected to play list, and it's 31 players, maybe 27 would be considered a 1 or 2 on this team. That's an awful lot of players on both sides of the ball. And I saw a lot of the beat reporters coming out afterwards saying, oh, if Tua goes down at any point, we're in trouble because Skyler or Mike White have got to play. If Tua gets hurt, all the starters don't come out the game as well. do you know what I mean? It's like, let's just chill out. It's just a preseason. Like, there was some good from, I think going into the game, especially the first 2 draft picks, Cam Smith and Devon A-Chain, like you're really excited to see them play, kind of get their feet wet. I think they did. Obviously concerning to see Cam Smith get hurt a little bit there, but I mean, it was on. He was making plays and flashing all over the field. Devon A-Chain, I thought, played a little. I thought they called some really interesting stuff for him, kind of like really kind of trying to force him up the middle. When I thought we saw them calling some outside runs for some of the other running backs. I don't know if that is on purpose or just trying to get him a feel for some stuff. But I mean, overall, good performances from those guys. And say, if you watch the game back enough times, you start to pull out some things that are interesting. And like Kadeem said, you know, if you think about it, the points weren't put on the board, and you can say you've got to execute. He'll know after watching Wolves Man United tonight. But but you've also got to be pleased with the movement and how easy they moved the ball up the field and got in the red zone, drive after drive, especially the first half. I think I'd definitely be interested to see how Skylar performs with those, kind of that group in the first half of next week's game.
What you got, Kadeem?
Yeah, great shout on the Devon A-Chain kind of being one up the middle while like Myles Gaskin was a lot more on the outside, trying to get him outside. And it's one of those things where, given A-Chain's speed, you kind of want to get him out to the outside and let him go and stuff like that. But I like A-Chain's use in the passing game. Again, it shows the preseason reports that the Dolphins don't just have a running back; they have a guy who can be a nuisance out of the backfield, running routes and stuff like that. Good solid hands. I think the offensive line. Listen, shout out to our boy. And I'm going to butcher his name every single time. I'm going to try and get the
Uluave.
Did they even get a chance?
Hey, but last time you switched it up, so I what I'm saying. Like
I was gonna try and get I literally said I'm gonna try and get the correct pronunciation.
Look, I was just trying to give you an assist.
No worries. His downfield blocking for the Eric Azukama that jet sweep, whatever you guys want to call it, which we do have on our YouTube channel on the shorts. Shout out to the cameraman Charlie Touche.
I appreciate you.
Love that. It looks like the Dolphins may have found one potential lineman at center, and I think it's quite fair to say that Isaiah Wynn probably took the lead in the left guard battle. But the O-line had its moments, both good and bad. I just mentioned him. Eric Azukama looks like he's made a massive leap from year 1 to year 2. Obviously, Robbie Chosen looks like wide receiver 3, but I think Eric Azukama is going to give him an extra run for his money going up until week 1. So listen, I'm choosing to take the positives. There weren't many, but at least we know what needs to be fixed. And like we said, there's about 31 starters not playing. How much can you really take from it, I guess?
It's 31 starters not playing, Kadeem. This guy. Listen,
like ones and twos, apologies. 31 ones and twos, essentially.
So I think if we want to be exact, I think it was only 2 starters playing. I think Austin, friend of the podcast, Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg were the only 2 that started, I think, that played. Of the 22 starters, I think only 2 of them played. But I could be wrong.
Would we consider Emmanuel Ogba a starter?
No, he's not a starter.
Okay,
Ogba played though, but he's not a starter. So I could be wrong, but I think only 2 starters actually played. So let's go with this. By now we've all seen it. The reverse. Eric Azukama had 2 reverses. Both of them were pretty successful. Had a couple catches. Looks real comfortable in the system. The man is checking a lot of boxes right now. So in the second reverse, I want to say it was undrafted free agent, friend of the podcast, Alama Uluave, center, snaps it, pulls, makes one block, gets off that block and heads out to another block and springs the reverse. Bro, I don't want to be this person that's always in people inboxes, you know what I'm saying, and hitting people up. You know what I'm saying? Like, we not really friends. So I try to be respectful. But I'm like, bro, that's impressive. You know what I'm saying? So and I don't want to show any bias because we love our friends of the podcast here. But at a minimum, he's already better than Michael Dieter. You know what I'm saying? Like, we no longer have Michael Dieter here on the roster, and he's already at a minimum the backup center, in my opinion. So you've hit on an undrafted center free agent on center at least as a backup. Now I want to play both sides. I'm sure there, Alama could have had a couple back. I think it was 4th and goal, not the interception, but I think we went for it 4th and goal, and I think it was a pass deflection, not the interception. We didn't get we didn't convert. Alama got pushed back into, I want to say that was Skylar Thompson's lap that time, I believe. So he got pushed back a couple times, but it wasn't nothing like, yo. And then, again, we're playing 2s and 3s, right? So we gotta have understanding of what's going on here. But at the same time, I like what I saw from him as center. I love what I saw from. We won't even get to that till later, but I'll just stay on track for now. But Cam Smith, bro, 20K Cam. For my dollar, he's the starter right now. We're missing Jalen Ramsey. Shout out to Jason Keck. Nice to have you back, bro. We're missing Jalen Ramsey. For my dollar, if 20K Cam is good to go, he's the replacement for Jalen right now as we speak. So, and when I say replacement, I'm talking about the placeholder until Jalen comes back. He's ready to go. Out of all the other, Nick Needham's, Noah's, I think 20K Cam gets the nod from me. And since we're on Jalen Ramsey, I got eyes on Jalen Ramsey. Shout out to J-Rob. J-Rob is one of my best friends growing up, knew him for like over 20 years, right? So he has a friend that seen Jalen Ramsey at the gas station. Look normal, you know what I'm saying? Pumping gas in the Lambo, you feel me?
The Lambo.
Yeah, you feel me? Like,
gas into a Lambo.
You know what I'm saying? No limp, no nothing. And I'm like, it's context. It's context. He didn't tear an ACL. It's a meniscus. As a regular human being, you could come back from a meniscus in a week or 2 and go back to work as a regular human being. Jalen Ramsey's job is a little bit different than our jobs, Kadeem and Lee. You know what I'm saying? It's a little different. So, yeah, if you've seen Jalen Ramsey walking on the street, doesn't mean that he's faking an injury. Doesn't mean that he's not hurt. Doesn't mean that he didn't have a meniscus repair. It just means he's not ready in preseason week 1 to go run with CeeDee Lamb, and we kind of don't need him to run with nobody right now. We could save him for the rest of the season. So, or the latter end of the season. But, yeah, man, so Lee, you said it's preseason. Yes, it is preseason. I'm not tripping. I just don't like to lose, but I think we're going to be all right, bro. What you got?
I absolutely agree with you. Don't like losing. But this is why you have joint practices. So you can get the 1s and 2s not playing in a game. Everything's controlled for them. They get their work in without having to hit the field. Like, I think it's working out the way they wanted. And obviously, Mike McDaniel couldn't have been happy about some things because he dragged him out to practice Sunday unscheduled. So that's interesting.
Wasn't that explained though? Wasn't it that for some of the starters, it basically wouldn't have trained for like 4 days? So we kind of had them in to kind of get them, I guess, loose essentially.
I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but he would have known that when he decided not to play them on Thursday. When they sat out Thursday, then obviously didn't play Friday night. Knew they were going to be off on Saturday. Do you know what I mean? It just seemed weird that it was called so late. I mean, I could be wrong. I think we probably all guessed that the starters weren't going to play in week 1 of the preseason. I mean, he tries to make out that it's a bit of a secret. Not sure it really was. But yeah. I mean, I think that's why that's why teams love joint practices. I think we saw some good and some bad coming out of those joint practices. We'll see how it goes this week. But hey, they scheduled joint practices with teams 3 weeks in a row. I think it's quite telling how much stock they're going to put in that rather than trying to force the 1s and 2s out in preseason games.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, there was some give and take on social media as always, seeing other teams play their starters and this whole, what and it's really funny given how many starters and second string guys the Dolphins sat. Essentially, the discourse was, why isn't Tua player playing? It's like he's not the only one not playing, but the Twitter arguments was, well, if it's good enough for Patrick Mahomes to play a few reps, why isn't it good for Tua Tagovailoa and all that kind of stuff? And it's just like, it's different teams, different things. Like, why do you care so much?
We know there's no right and wrong. We saw the Lions go undefeated in the preseason before not winning a game. How many years was it since 2015? The Baltimore Ravens haven't lost a preseason game. How many Super Bowl appearances did they have in that?
I think they lost last year though. I think they maybe they didn't cover. I can't remember. But yeah, they were on like a 21 game winning streak, preseason winning streak.
And how many Super Bowls have they been to? So does it equal success? I mean, they're not really getting better or worse. The Ravens just kind of do Ravens things. So I don't know. I think if you want to read a lot into how long starters play in the preseason, great. I'm not sure I think you can make a pretty good argument from either side.
Yeah. Charlie, what do you make of, and again, it's preseason, it's only going to be vanilla on both sides of the ball. What do you make of your first look of the Vic Fangio defense? And again, basic coverages, basic scheme, and with a lot of guys who probably won't be here in a few weeks' time.
I think I watched the game twice now. I think I was at the game and I watched it. And this this is bad. I watched it more than once, I think, because I remember the Cam Smith play. And I was looking at it was a breakup. Cam Smith had a breakup. I'm not sure what down it was, but he came all the way across the field, ran in front of Channing Tindall, dove and broke up a pass. Looked like all the clips that we've been seeing on social media before the preseason game, him diving, breaking up passes. And I was trying to see what the coverage was and how he was able to come from the other side of the field and what really happened. And I'm thinking, Cam Smith is a rookie, again, 2s and 3s out there. But I know when we start playing with live rounds, we're gonna see some exotic stuff. And I expect the Dolphins to have more picks than last season, just based on the scheme. And I think when we got Vic Fangio, I said, yo, bet the over on Javon Holland's picks. Whatever how many picks he had last year, go over this year on that, because the scheme is gonna allow him to be free. Xavier Howard was talking about it, how he can have eyes on the ball and be able to come off of his coverage and do what he usually does. Before he was doing that and not being able to do it, and then sometimes it'll burn him, what I'm saying? But now with this scheme, he's going to be able to play more loosely. And man, listen, with or without Jalen Ramsey, this defense is going to be a problem, and I'm here for it.
Lee, what's your first look, a live look, or Vic Fangio defense in the game, basically?
I thought they looked like they were communicating stuff well, even bearing in mind we were further down the roster. But I think maybe I want to go a little bit further back than the preseason game and see the reports of the defense winning days at practice. Last year, the offense dominated every single day. And I think if we want to be balanced, we need to see both sides of the ball getting their wins. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Tua balling out every day. Those, bombs to Waddle and Hill. But when it comes to winning and being a solid and a well-built team, I think we want to see both sides of the ball get their wins.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Kadeem.
No, all you.
No, I was going to switch it up, but if you wanted to talk on what we were just talking about, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see what the defense looks like with essentially the starting linebackers. I think Aubrey Miller was okay, but I kind of wanted more from him. I think Tyndall had a good game. But again, you're kind of looking at it going, especially for those two, they kind of need to do a lot more, in my opinion, to really pushing your Jerome Bakers and David Longs. But we haven't seen what Jerome Baker and David Long look like in this defense. The one thing I will say, shout out to the guys on the field or on the sidelines watching practice and reporting back, your Travis Wingfield, your Joe Shads, all that kind of stuff. No one's drinking the Noah Igbenogany Kool-Aid. Like, it's been 4 years. We kind of know what we have in Noah Igbenogany. But reports over the past 2 days, like back-to-back interceptions, a pick six today, and I think even in the preseason game, he wasn't horrible. Like, he was like it's one of those things where if you're being super negative, you could say he's given up passes. But the positive is that he's right there. And in my opinion, the passes he's given up are well-placed balls. Like, you know what? Given where we were a few years ago, this is progress, which isn't ideal when you're a first-round pick in your 4th season. But maybe the Dolphins get some kind of reduction out of Noah Igbenogany this season.
I am super interested about Noah Igbenogany. I think he has had something happen in his favor this season, and that's getting a new defensive coach. Because although we had a regime change, we kept Josh Boyer, and whatever was happening, that coaching style was not working for him. Right? He didn't forget how to play football. Do you know what I mean? Like, they saw something, and what we saw on the field in at least the first 3 years was, an unmitigated disaster. But I think we've seen it, and you see it across all sorts of sports. And to be honest, I bet we've all experienced it in our working life, right? Sometimes you work for a boss and you're just like, nope, I do not get on with that guy. Like, he doesn't know how to get the best out of me. And I wonder if Noah Igbenogany found that before and has now found someone with a different coaching style and is actually allowing the best to come out of him. Because he seemed like a guy before whose confidence had been beat into the ground. And I think I do love a film reference. Has anyone seen Moneyball?
Moneyball.
The baseball movie with Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. There's a scene where they got a guy playing first base for the first time. And they're like, you just need to give him some confidence. Do you know what I mean? And look, the preseason is built for guys like this. It might be his last opportunity, but if the reports are right and he's showing some sort of progress, that's only a good thing.
Yo, I wanted to say one more thing about Cam Smith. There was a fourth.
Get his name right.
20K Cam, my bad. I'm sorry. I want to say one more thing about 20K Cam. There was a 4th down for Atlanta in knocking on the door of our end zone. And for anyone who follows us on social media at Go Time Dolphins, you would know that I was sitting in the end zone. Like, I was sitting pretty close in the end zone, and this play happened right in front of me. And there was a high-low where the Dolphins played this thing so well. It could not have been any better. Basically, a high-low is there's an underneath route that goes probably to like the 2-yard line to where you catch it, you just turn and you can put the ball in. And then there's a route behind you that's in the end zone, and the quarterback makes the corner make a decision. Cam Smith played this thing so well. I'm watching it. If I'm gonna be real with you, I already knew it was coming. Like, yo, they're gonna high-low this man, right? So I kind of knew it was coming, but he knew it was coming too. Broke it up. We get the ball back. Turnover on downs. I gotta add this. It was so hot. It was so hot, bro. Listen, I am a Floridian through and through, and I'm like, yo, I can see the NFL saying the Dolphins can't have any home games in September ever again. Like, bro, listen, it was so hot. It was nighttime. I'm like, yo, I cannot imagine being at a 1:00 game and the sun beaming down on a sideline, bro. It was so hot. I'm like, this is hey, but I'm just saying, Fire Ali, I know you want to jump in, but it was hot, bro.
Right, story time. Just before the pandemic. You remember the Albert Wilson game where he went off against the Bears?
Yeah. Is that the 3-0 start, Montana?
That's it, right? So I'm booking a trip to come out, and I'm coming out with Jason. And said to Jay, I booked we come to the Lions game and the Bears game back to back. So I booked the tickets for the first game. And we're up in the first row of the upper deck in the shaded end of the stadium. Like, great. Love it up there. That kind of Madden view down the field. It's my favorite view.
He said Madden view.
So he's looking at tickets for the second game. He says, I found some tickets in the lower bowl. I was like, hell no, don't do that. Like, down the end in the sun, I was like, we'll be in the sun all day. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff. I was like, this is going to be a disaster. He's like, no. I really want to do this. I was like, all right. We get there. I swear he lost half his body weight before kickoff. Like, he sat on the seat and he was like, no, this is too hot. And he had to go stand in the concourse. He drank so many drinks that day. It was madness. Be careful if you're flying out there from the UK, man. We can't handle that heat.
Bro, listen, this is the Bills, you know what I'm saying? I remember on Twitter they were saying, oh, the NFL needs to look into the way the Dolphins built their stadium. And like, that's crazy, you know what I'm saying? Because we can't do nothing about cold weather conditions, you know what I'm saying? So you can play in extreme weather conditions in December and January, but we can't play in extreme weather conditions in September, right? So I know we got the bubble for practice at the practice facility, but the heat is definitely in our favor. That's why we have a basketball team called the Miami Heat. You know what I'm saying? So listen, I'm warning y'all now. Hey, Dolphins are going to cover against Denver. Like, they're just going to cover against Denver. I don't even know what the line is, but they're going to cover it. Like, I really want to go back and look at all the September. You know, that's probably why we kept starting off like 4-0, 4-2 in the Gase era. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I really want to go back through history and see how the Dolphins started off in the home games in Miami in the regular season, because that heat was brutal as a Floridian, bro. But yeah, man. So we know it was preseason. It's Overreaction Monday. We're live. Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons. We got 5-yard lead with us. It's always for the fans, by the fans. Favorite podcast. Listen, Overreaction Monday. Do the Dolphins need a new backup quarterback? Kadeem, I'll let you go first.
I'm gonna say yeah. I think again, Mike White done well driving down the field, but that hesitancy when it matters is the difference between an interception and a touchdown. It's been, he's only been in the system for a few months. Totally get that. I know I was a proponent of, running with Skylar Thompson a couple of months ago. From what we saw on Friday night, he kind of looks the same as what we saw in preseason, if not a bit worse, which is kind of not okay. But I think the only issue is with your cap, with how much cap space you have, who are you going to get? And it's also a thing where you don't really want to see the backup. We mentioned earlier that if Tua goes down, the rest of the team are kind of in it, so it's not too much of an issue. But you're only as good as your weak link, and you probably might need an upgrade at backup quarterback. But it's one preseason game. It's Overreaction Monday. So who knows?
Kadeem, who said you had to allocate cap to a backup quarterback, Kadeem?
I believe you said that.
No, I didn't say you had to allocate cap to the backup quarterback. You do if you're going to get an experienced backup quarterback. But, we had Jacoby Brissett. Didn't pan out. Why it didn't pan out, we don't know. You know what I'm saying? It just didn't. We had Teddy Two Gloves, my dog. I love Teddy. Didn't pan out. Why it didn't pan out? I don't know. Maybe people come to Florida and just be like, oh, I made it. I'm going to the beach. I'm never supposed to start a game anyway, so I'm not going to study. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Mike White, Overreaction Monday. I'm not going to say it's not going to pan out, but I'm just saying I am not thrilled about Mike White. I'm not thrilled about it. And we know how I feel about Skylar Thompson. Quality dude. I just don't have trust in him being my backup quarterback in the event something ever happens. So the reason why Kadeem brought up Cap was because, Mike White turns out Mike White isn't the highest paid. Last episode, I say he's like the highest paid backup. And turns out it's, who's the backup for Atlanta? Heineke?
Ooh.
Is it Heineke?
Let's fact check, stat check.
It's Heineke, but I don't know if Heineke's there's a backup making $20 million in 2 years.
No.
And it's not Mike White. So cool. Here's my thing, Kadeem. The reason I bring this up is because if you just drafted Jaron Hall, we wouldn't have to talk about spending $8 million on a backup quarterback, Kadeem. I'm just saying, it's okay to be wrong sometimes, bro. You can say I was right.
I legit haven't seen Jaron Hall how he played, so I'm gonna assume he done well, Charlie.
Nah, he didn't dial it up. It's preseason. It's still preseason. But I'm just saying, Jaron Hall will start in the NFL within these next 2 seasons. 100%. He was not on anyone's radar. He was like a 5th round pick, and I have money on Jaron Hall starting in the NFL within the next 2 seasons. But I'm just saying, Fire, you want to rebut, Kadeem?
Oh, I was just gonna say, Jason Keck said no. Give White some time, better than the last 2 backups before we jump over to the 5-yard league.
What you got, 5-yard league?
I am in complete agreement with Jason. I'm not letting one preseason game make me forget that Skylar Thompson almost beat the Bills in the playoffs on the road last year. When he played with the starters. Let's give it another week. I'm not panicking after week 1 of the preseason. I'll be honest, I would say if you don't want to see Mike White or Skylar Thompson play, go and spend that money on making sure Tua doesn't get knocked out of any games.
I don't know, Fire Ali. I got to remind you that the same Skylar Thompson that took the Bills from pillar to post in the playoff game, Skylar Thompson is the same Skylar Thompson that only put up 6 points, 9 points, or 0 points against the Jets. That game was 6-6 going into the 4th quarter. This feels like a preseason game, actually. I'm just saying.
He led them to a win.
We won. Hey,
exactly.
He won. We won. I get it. I get it. Yo, Lee, I'm here for that. I feel you. A win is a win. Yo, a win is a win. I feel you. I'm just saying.
But I think it's telling that Mike White got the, let's say, quote unquote start. Do you know what I mean? He got the first opportunity on Friday night. I think that's kind of telling that they think he's better than Skylar. I think the other thing, compared to last season or last off season, we saw a heavy amount of Tua and with the ones in camp every day. It seemed to be every rep. Whereas this year, there's much more switching it up. There's much more Mike White throwing to Waddle and Hill. Do you know what I mean? There's much more Skylar throwing to Waddle and Hill. There's far more rotation. I think that's just, I think it's natural. It comes with being 2 years into the system, being more comfortable, everyone knowing what they're doing. But it also means you can evaluate the quarterbacks better. So, yeah, I'm not overreacting on this Monday. Maybe next Monday.
Listen, in 2021, was it 2021? Snowman was drafted to the Miami Dolphins. Touche's 24. Javon Holland was on Touche's 24. Rondell Moore was on Touche's 24. You know who else was on Touche's 24 that year, Kadeem?
If it's in the position, I might know.
Amon-Ra St. Brown was on there too. Just toot the horn just a little bit. Amon-Ra St. Brown was on there. But the Dolphins sneakily picked this person up, and I had no idea. Probably because I was working, I was doing 90-hour weeks last year around October, And when this person was picked up by the Dolphins, I had no idea he was on our team. So in January of this season, I guess we gave him like some type of 1-year contract. I guess I can't even, not even sure. But Jalen Twyman is a defensive tackle. He went to Pittsburgh. For those of us who don't know who Jalen Twyman is, he was shot 4 times in his rookie season. Similar to Brian Robinson, he was shot in Washington, the DC area. And Jalen Twyman was cut by the Vikings, and the Dolphins picked him up in October. We didn't see him, and just in January he got signed, and I want to say probably like a 1-year deal. And he looked pretty decent in preseason too. He's still on the team, played against Atlanta, but he did have a bonehead penalty, personal foul.
So dumb.
Yeah,
So
super.
dumb.
And I don't know how you put your hands up like, oh, what did I do? I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that. But I'm like, this kid, when I was scouting this kid, I'm like, man, this dude can play. And obviously, if you get shot 4 times, for someone who has not been shot 4 times, I don't know how you recover from that. So the fact that he's on the team and looking as good as he's looking right now, there's a world, Kadeem, where, I don't want to invoke the name Christian Wilkins, but it does allow some depth on the D line. You know what I'm saying? On an already stacked D line. And I was surprised to see how decent he was playing outside of that bonehead play, bro.
Yeah.
Elijah Higgins as well. Elijah Higgins, 7th round pick, 6th round pick, 6th round pick. 6th round pick. Ryan Hayes was 7th round. Elijah Higgins looks like a tight end, not your ideal inline tight end. He's being moved from receiver to the Mike Gesicki role, basically, but he still looked decent. Anything on anybody else, fellas?
I'll let Lee go first, and then I've got a question for you, Charlie.
I thought Elijah Higgins looked great. I thought it looked smooth as well. It looked like a smooth runner. It looked kind of like deceptively fast for a man of his size. I'm not talking Hill, Mostert, Waddle fast, but they looked deceptively fast. I thought he was another one who kind of then later in the second half got hit with a couple of penalties where should probably have known better. Not a big deal. It's first week of the preseason. It's okay. But good learning experience. Definitely something interesting at tight end, because I think before the game, tight end is definitely a concern. I do have some other ideas for tight end though.
What's he got? Christian Wilkins?
I mean, if you want someone to play the Mike Gesicki role, that's someone to line up closer to the line of scrimmage to present, let's say, a distinctly average thrower of blocks and then a good pair of hands. Would you put a bigger body like Eric Ezekama in there?
I don't know.
Make him a hybrid, not make him a tight end.
I don't think he's a big enough body. I don't think he's a big enough body. I do get it, but it's like a big slot. But I don't know. Like I think Higgins is perfect because and even it looks like he's gotten bigger already since he's been drafted. It looks like he's fitting in pretty good. I really prefer to see Ezekama in the Trent Sherfield role, and even Trent Sherfield was bigger than
Sure.
more solid in his body, in his build than Ezekama. Ezekama is taller than Sherfield, but Sherfield was like a very thick. I'm about to go lay some blocks, and Ezekama doesn't really have that. He's more of and he's not even all that elusive, but that's why it's like he's a tweener. Unfortunately, you know what I'm saying? What you got? Yeah, what you got?
Yeah. Talk to me about running back, or 2 running backs. We'll start off with friend of the podcast, Miles Gaskin, but then obviously we've got to talk about Chris Brooks.
Bro, I thought you was gonna go Chris Brooks, but we'll talk about 40 Acres and the Hellcat first, real quick. Man, the man still got the juice. He was banged up last year, and I know a lot of people are so quick to just throw the baby out with the bathwater. I have no idea why they say that. Throw the baby out with the
I'll find out.
Yeah, fat check, stat check. I don't know why that's a thing. But you know, but Myles Gaskin in front of the podcast, he was banged up last year. And you know, you get enamored by the way Jeff Wilson Jr. looked. Raheem Mostert, if he could stay healthy, you know what he looks like. 100 yards in the first half type stuff, or first quarter maybe against Buffalo. I can't remember that. But and then you know, I think friend of the podcast, Myles Gaskin gets a bad rap because he was on those bad teams. So now he's associated with bad teams, and he's not the glamorous, glorified running back, and no one really loves him. But then he comes out and says, "Oh, I'm healthy. Like, watch me do this." There's a song called "Watch Me Do This" that we used to play back in the day. But you know what I'm saying? Watch me do this. And he looked good. It's preseason, probably against 2s and 3s, of course. But at the same time, he still looked good. Chris Brooks, on the other hand, when the Dolphins brought in all these unsigned guys, there were 2 people that I absolutely really liked. And one was friend of the podcast, Alama Uluave, and Chris Brooks. Just looking at his film, I'm like, yo, Chris Brooks has a chance to be something special. Chris Brooks can be a dude. Chris Brooks comes in his first preseason NFL game, gets a touch, and I want to say he went about 6 yards. And I'm like, oh, that looks pretty good. Got called back, holding penalty. So what does Coach McDaniel do? Give it to him again. Gets like 8 yards this time, 9 yards this time. Gets called back again. And I think he had one more touch after, or he had 2 more touches. And one of those 2, he went out. He went for another pretty good game. Listen, man, I need to see me some more Chris Brooks. And I was going to ask you guys, what do you think the next game looks like? Is this next game going to be a dress rehearsal? Because, and I think, Lee, you asked us this question, is the next game where we're going to see starters and then we won't see them anymore so they could get 2 weeks off? Or is the third game going to be the starters week and then they get a week off? Either way, I need to see a little more of Chris Brooks. And this is kind of why I don't mind not bringing in Dalvin Cook. Yes, if Chris Greer said, oh, we're signing Dalvin Cook for $4 million, no one's going to complain. Like, okay. But at the same time, we have running back depth now, and I would not be upset if we didn't bring in another running back. So when do you think we're going to see these starters, Five-Yard Lee, or if we're going to see them at all?
I don't think we'll see the offensive starters at all. I think we may see the defensive starters because of the new system, because of the new coach. I think as much as I want to see them go out there in the preseason, like last year against Philadelphia, throw the ball over the place, get out of the game, just good fun evening. But I don't know. It just feels like, especially with Waddle getting a bit banged up the other day, we know Tua hasn't been on the field since Christmas Day. Was it Christmas Day?
Christmas Day, yeah.
Christmas Day. I just don't know. I mean, I don't think you're ever going to see a Teron Armstead out there. No. And if you're not going to see a Teron Armstead out there, do you really want to put a Tua out there? If you're not going to put a Tua out there, do you really want to put Tyreek Hill out there? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah. But I think the defensive side of the ball is a little bit different this year. I think the defensive side of the ball this year is what we saw from the offensive side of the ball last year when we had a new coach and a new system, and they had to get out there and run it because it's their first time going through the communication, going through the process. I don't expect to see them for long, the defensive starters, but I wouldn't be surprised to see some of them out there. I also think it's kind of interesting that we're this far through camp and we haven't heard a lot about veteran days off. Whereas last season, it was prevalent and it was early. In the first week of camp, Xavier Howard's getting a veteran's day off. We've not heard that this year. Apart from Raheem the other day. Raheem, was it Thursday? Mike McDaniel said in his presser that essentially it was a reward for performance on Wednesday. And that Raheem didn't want to miss practice, but he was kind of making him sit. So let's call it a veteran's rest day. But do you know what I mean? I think it's interesting that we're not hearing anything about that. So I think that kind of plays into some of this stuff that they're going to be doing more during the practices. So yeah, I'm not sure we see starters during the games.
Yeah, like we are 100% not seeing Teron Armstead. Like that's just not going to happen. Like just no. Not so much starters, but definitely like will 100% make the roster. You might see a Brandon Jones and a Nick Needham simply because they haven't played in so long, due to their injuries and stuff like that. So you might see them a bit. But yeah, Waddle, it sounds like it's the same thing which we saw last off season where Mike McDaniel was like, Waddle's okay, but he's a bit banged up and I'm protecting him from himself. So I'm basically sitting him out because if he goes out there, he's going to do Waddle things and it might lead to an injury. So yeah, you won't see Waddle. You might see a few offensive linemen outside of friend of the podcast, Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg. But even then, you're looking at either Connor Williams and friend of the podcast, Robert Hunt. Do any of them really need the reps? Especially when you've got undrafted guys at center or, a 7th-round pick in Ryan Hayes or, you've also picked up Isaiah Wynn. But then in saying that, do we now not see Isaiah Wynn? Has he basically won the left guard battle? So it's like Liam Eichenberg, this is your chance to get back into it and stuff like that. So, and then yeah, as for Tua, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Well, we're not going to see Tua. But like you said, we had joint practices too.
Yeah.
But isn't it? It's kind of catch-22, isn't it? Because if he's healthy, then there's no harm in playing him. But if you're still worried about his health, then that same worry applies week 1 when he's going against one.
So I think it's more. I think it's more so what you just said though, Lee. I think it's if you're not going to put Teron Armstead out there, why would you put Tua out there? So now it's a little different. If Teron Armstead was out there, then you could see Tua out there, and then you could see Waddle out there, and then Hill and everything, the whole 9 yards, right? Why they say the whole 9 yards and not 10 yards? Why they say the whole 9 yards, Kadeem?
So very quickly, throwing the baby out the bathwater apparently comes from Germany in like the 1500s, but it's like a proverb. So it's like it's not something that never actually happened, but it's more, I say back in the day, maybe massive families in kind of small houses had the exact same thing where the eldest get to bath first and then you go down. And by the time you get to the youngest, the bathwater is dirty. And apparently the whole thing was that the bathwater is grey and mucky and you kind of might even not see the baby. So you kind of just throw it out. So
breaking news. Dalvin Cook is signing with the Jets right now.
For real?
Just broke. Dalvin Cook is going to the New York Paper Planes. It just broke. Ian Rappaport, my dog is not always consistent, but we're live on the podcast. Dalvin Cook signed a 1-year deal with the New York Paper Planes, and he's teaming up with Aaron Rodgers.
I love how, so I'm seeing it from Tom Pelissero, and it says, Cook always wanted to land in New York. Well, that's a lie. Cook did not always want to land in New York. Cook wanted to land in Miami and tried every single thing he could to wait for Miami to give him what he wanted.
I mean, he gave maximum effort trying to get to the Dolphins. I mean, who comes out and says, by the way, on Sunday, I might fly to New York and take a meeting with the Jets, and then I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to fly back and say, well, I didn't sign with the Jets. Do you know what I mean? They're just trying to force you to. I don't think that sort of negotiating tactic goes down well with Chris Greer. I think he's probably more upfront. It's like, look, this is the deal we're offering. If you're not going to force him into giving you more.
Yeah, I wonder what Cook takes, because then it'll probably tell you what the Dolphins offered. It won't tell you exactly what we offered, but you get an idea of what the Dolphins offered when you find out what Cook's contract is. It's a 1-year deal. So Cook to Miami next year is still a possibility. My thing is, I think, on a rare cameo, Chris Greer was on a Satellite X. Is it XM or FM? Satellite XM podcast. One of them things. And he was saying, we love our running backs. We love our running backs. We love Wilson. We love Raheem Mostert. We love Miles. And then, I love Chris Brooks. So I think they tried to lowball Dalvin, and Dalvin was like, no, I need all the dollars I can get. What you got, Lee?
$8.6 million.
Oh, yeah. Dolphins wasn't doing that.
Yeah, it doesn't say whether that's incentive-based or whether it's just 8.6 straight up. I mean, we saw earlier, didn't we, when the Ezekiel Elliott number came out? It's like $6 million. It's actually 3 with add-ons. Do you know what I mean? So be interested to see how it breaks down. But yeah, 8.6.
This is interesting. You know what? I love it because I didn't put my preseason bets in, my future bets in yet. And this is just going to make the Jets stock go up even higher. And I love it so much because the Dolphins odds are going to be so much better now. But yeah, I love it. Yeah. You want to close this out, Kadeem?
I'll close this out by, if you are in the comments and you haven't commented yet, said anything, now's the chance because I'll be giving away this Tua Tagovailoa trading card on the other side of basically in bonus time. So yeah, now's your time to comment if you haven't commented already for a chance to win this Tua Tagovailoa trading card.
Lee, we appreciate you coming on, bro. You know, you family here, man. We chop it up with you on and off the podcast, bro. You going to Germany?
Trying to.
All right.
Didn't get tickets.
You know what? I'm coming to London, so I'll chop it up with you when I'm out there. But tell everyone where they can find you, bro. Oh yeah, when?
The Giants, Panthers. Those back-to-back Sundays.
Yeah, I don't know when that is, but I know it's not September.
It's the 8th of October.
I know it's not September, so you're not gonna melt. Like, listen, bro. That sun was something else. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Like, I'm not one to keep like multiple shirts in my car just in case, but that would have been an occasion because that sun was brutal. Hey, tell everyone where they can find you, Lee.
You can find me 5 Yard Lee on Twitter and the DolFan UK podcast on the Dolphins Podcast Network.
Gotta love it. Y'all know what time it is. Stay positive, test negative. For 5 Yard Lee and Kadeem Simmons, I'm Charlie Touche. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Time. Alrighty.
You are now tuned in.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's showtime. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time.
What you got for us, Kadeem?
Shout out to Casual DolFan. Just let us know that Cook has signed the paper planes. Before I do the giveaway, I have another card which arrived in the post, but I legit don't know what card it is. Jason Kirk, it's been confirmed that Dalvin Cook is signing with the New York Paper Planes.
Dalvin Cook to the Paper Planes, $8.6 million deal. We don't know what part of it is incentives and salary and base salary.
Daniel Orofusi says that there's incentives based in it, and the Dolphins were still pretty far apart on financials of Delvin.
I think that's one of those things where the Dolphins, there's no state income tax. They're probably better placed to win the division and make a playoff run. And again, he made it clear he wanted to be in Miami. So why would the Dolphins go above and beyond to find someone who wants to be there? It's one of those things where you either want to be here or you don't. Here's the offer. It's not going to...
I don't know about or you don't, bro. The man want to get paid too.
Oh, of course, yeah. But I was going to say, here's the offer. Is there wiggle room? Yes, there's wiggle room. But it's not going to be upwards of 6, 7, 8 million. So, yeah. And it's one of the things where 8.6 million in New York, once you add taxes, I legit don't know what it's going to be, but it could be a situation where you're probably earning less due to taxes had you stayed or had you taken the Miami deal. As Joe Levesque so quickly says, well, there you go, another great player that would have made a difference. Here goes to a rival. And Jason Keck says, well, we only have ourselves to blame when he runs all over us.
We'll find out. I actually don't think. I think that the Jets don't even have an O-line to be nice like that. You see what I'm saying? So we're gonna be all right, y'all boys. Don't even trip. I still got the Dolphins sweeping the Jets. By the way, the Dolphins going 2-0 against. Matter of fact, see what the line is for the Dolphins sweeping the Jets this year. While Kadeem pulls out this card.
Well, yeah. Any other thing you want to add to the Cook thing? And do you think the Dolphins? Oh, and I get stuff in my hand. Do you think the Dolphins go and find another running back? You've seen Zeke go to the Patriots.
Nah. The Dolphins are set. Chris Greer loves it. You said Dolphins?
Yeah, but I was asking Lee.
Oh, my bad.
Wow.
See, I was pulling up DraftKings to find out what the odds were for the Dolphins sweeping the Jets.
Let Lee land, man. Let Lee land.
My bad, Lee.
No, I don't think they're going after anyone either. I think if they were going to do it, they would have got it done with Dalvin. I mean, if you want to go after someone with that much talent, I mean, there's obviously running backs who are available if you want them at the moment via trade, but I don't think they're going to be willing to give up any assets plus big money. So, you know, your options were guys that were already on the market, and I think you would have made those moves sooner than now. So no, I don't see it. But I do think now that's off the table. Does it free up some money to go and do something else?
I don't know that it was freed money anyway. I think you know, we don't have the exact number, but I imagine the Dolphins were around 4 million, or wanted him for multiple seasons. So they said, hey, take 4 million this year, and then we'll give you 6 million next year or something, maybe. But at the same time, hey, Joe, you got to rock with us, man. 5 Ali might not be a regular, but he's family here. Shout out to Joe. So I think we're happy where we are with everything. Honestly, if it's not O-line help, like if someone becomes available, you know, we're at 90 right now on the roster. When people cut down to 53, some things are going to shake loose, and then Chris Greer is going to cook, and I'm all right with that. Hey, Kadeem, you all right, chap?
The amount of
he's got a bad finger,
and I've got a bad finger, which Lee trying to make it worse as well. But
all the excuses. So I'm looking at the line for AFC East, and they only have obviously, you know, since the Jets just added Dalvin, I wonder if they took the line down, but they only have the Dolphins plus 175 to sweep the Patriots. They do not have the Dolphins line for Buffalo or the Jets, sweeping Buffalo or the Jets. And I wonder why, because that would be a pretty nice, you know what I'm saying? That'd be pretty nice to bet plus 450 on sweeping the Jets, or but plus 550 to sweep the Bills.
I would imagine the Jets price got removed as soon as that
for sure
Dalvin Cook signing went up.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. It was 2 Tyreek Hill cards, the exact same card.
Nice.
So yeah, quite like them as well. Because I've got 2, I'll do a giveaway in the Texans review game. So I will do a giveaway at the Texans review game. Make sure you are with us for that episode. Anything else before I do the Tua Tagovailoa giveaway?
Give it away now.
Oh, that's Red Hot Chili Peppers. We didn't do the other song. When I saw her face. Now I'm a believer.
Hey,
right.
hey,
who is that?
Hey.
I want to say, is it the Monkeys or is the beat? I think it's the Monkeys. Lee, do you know
who you got? Fire, Lee.
When I saw
Yeah.
her face. Now I'm a believer.
Yeah, I would have gone with the Monkeys.
Not a trace. Charlie, who have you got?
I'm in love. Ooh. I don't think it's the Beatles. Monkeys is a pretty good one. I ain't gonna lie. But
yeah,
it's
the Monkeys.
Definitely wasn't the Beatles.
Yeah, Keith and Jason Keck to confirm it's the Monkeys. Yeah. Had you said Smash Mouth, that would have been pretty funny as well. Smash Mouth.
Smash Mouth did a cover of it for Shrek, right?
Yes, for Shrek, yeah. And I remember on like the Shrek DVD, like one of the bonus features where like they're doing all the songs and Eddie Murphy singing that song as well. Don't ask why I remember that. But again, of all the movies I haven't seen, I've seen the extra bits of Shrek. Shrek, one of the best movies of all time, by the way.
I ain't gonna lie, there's somebody watching this podcast for the Tua Tagovailoa trading card giveaway, and they're like, "Yo, can y'all give away this card, please?"
Okay,
You
yeah,
feel me?
let's get to it. So let's share the screen for the wheel of names. Shout out to everyone taking part. Lee, if you can let me know when I should start.
Let's do it.
So yeah,
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time.
it's gonna be
Oh, bruh, that's probably the closest giveaway we've ever had. Shout out to IMAX, the winner of the Tua Tagovailoa trading card. Yo, how you wanna reach out? Gmail?
Yeah, so IMAX, email us at gotimedolphins@gmail.com with your address, and I will try and get this shipped out as soon as possible. I actually have family down from the States over the next few weeks, so it might take a bit longer, but I might send it back with them and they can send it once they get home and stuff. But
IMAX, if you can hit us up, gotimedolphins@gmail.com, and in the subject put giveaway, please, because we have something else that we need in our email, which is fantasy footballers. If you want to play in our fantasy football league, the Go Time Dolphins Fantasy Football League this season, hit us up, gotimedolphins@gmail.com with the subject fantasy football, and we will reach out to you, and we're going to put the league together. Congratulations to last year's winner, won a championship ring. Hopefully we can get him on the podcast and show him the Go Time Dolphins Fantasy Football Championship ring and $300. So if you want to play in the league this year, it is a PPR league on the ESPN platform, and we'll probably start the podcast with this next time. But hit us up, gotimedolphins@gmail.com with the subject fantasy football. Again, shout out to IMAX. IMAX, hit us up, same Gmail with the subject giveaway. Appreciate you, bro.
one last thing from me. I know the answer is going to be no, but have either of you seen the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie?
No.
That I saw it on Saturday. That movie is amazing. Saw it
Is
with my
it?
son. Oh no, honestly, it is so good. I saw it with my son, and he's not a Turtles fan. He's like, didn't really want to go watch it, but I want to go watch it. So he came with me, and he left. And he was like, I want to see it. I want to see the second one. And he's now a Turtles fan. Although he absolutely loved it. It is so much fun. So much fun.
I'm happy for you just as a dad to see my son go from a non-Turtles fan to a Turtles fan. That is an achievement right there. You know what I'm saying? Unlock. Listen, and we're gonna end because now it's getting kind of crazy, but I like the Aladdin live action. A lot of people ain't like it. I rock with it real hard, bro. Aladdin live action. I was a huge Aladdin fan growing up. You know what I'm saying? But now I wasn't even gonna watch the Turtles movie because I ain't gonna watch this. But now I got to. As a Turtles fan, I gotta watch it.
No, it's fun, and the soundtrack is really good as well. Some absolute bangers in there. So good.
Casual Dolphin fan, we appreciate you. We rock with you too, man.
I appreciate you. But yeah, that's it from me. Again, shout out to IMAX on the Tua card. Make sure you are with us for the Texans review game where I'll be giving away a Tyreek Hill card. And yeah, I guess we shall see you guys in a few days. We've got a few guests coming on over the next few weeks, which is always amazing. Obviously, we've got 5 guys leave us right now. And yeah, just I guess finally, IMAX, hit us up at gotimedolphins@gmail.com with giveaway. Fantasy football guys, hit us up on gotimedolphins@gmail.com for fantasy football. And yeah, watch out for the Instagram, the TikTok, the Twitter, the YouTube channel. Subscribe to all that kind of stuff. We've got some big things coming out over the next few weeks. So, Charlie, amazing as always. 5 Yard Lee, brilliant. And one final thing from me. DolFan UK podcast on the Dolphins, on the Miami Dolphins official podcast network. Go check them out. 5 Yard Lee is on there with his host as well. So yeah, that's it from me. Lee, Charlie, anything else?
Appreciate everyone tuning in.
We shall see you next time.